All right. Welcome to episode 5 of the Trackside Girls podcast. Let's get into it. So a few things came out on the day that we filmed last week's podcast. So, um, Molly, do you wanna catch us up on those two things that you found?
So Ryan Vargas is going to be joining 3F Racing, their family.
I think on top of him doing some races for trucks and Xfinity, I think he's also going to be a reserve driver on the Cup side. So I think that's like the what all's involved with him joining them. Um, but that's very exciting. I love Ryan. Um, he's so funny. Have you guys ever met Ryan?
I think so. I'm
He
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure we have.
he's pretty cool. I love him. And I a lot of because I've seen him in at quite a few races, and there's sometimes that he'll just show up to races even if he doesn't um, isn't driving, which I feel like it's a really good thing to do because if you're a part-time driver or you don't have a seat, you're still trying to get out there and um, trying to talk and interact with people who may just randomly give you a chance. Um, so I'm glad to see Ryan get this opportunity. And then we have some news for the Indy Road Course. Um, Two different supercar drivers, it looks like, are going to be joining the field. We're going to have SVG Shan Van Ginsbergen back again, who won the Chicago street course. And he's coming back. He's coming back with Trackhouse, back in the 91 car. And a new one that I haven't heard of him, but I also don't follow supercars a lot. Brody Kostecki. I hope I said his name right. But he will be in the 33 car for RCR. But so that's very exciting. We're gonna have more talent at the Indy Road Course. The Indy Road Course is always insane. Like turn one, you're literally funneling down into it. If you watched the race last year, who? It was a little. There were not some happy campers after that race. Um, in more news that came out last week.
Justin Haley leaving.
Yes. Yes.
Not gonna lie, I was a little surprised by that one.
Yeah.
I was too.
I didn't think he was gonna leave Colleague Racing.
So apparently, don't know if this is true. This is just what I heard. Apparently, um, Justin's uncle owns the 31 car. I don't know if that's true. I don't
What?
know. Yeah, but that's what somebody told me. I haven't fact checked that, but if it is true, um, that raises the question even more. Why would Justin leave Colleague
Yeah.
with that connection? And honestly, I kind of laughed whenever Justin said, "Oh, yeah, they're making a lot of progress. They're like," and I'm like, "Are we looking at the same Rick Ware Racing?"
After what was it? You that sent it in the group, or was it Molly that sent it?
I
Whoever
think
sent it
Molly
on
sent it
Twitter.
first.
And then your comment on it, I laughed at it. I was like, I'm like impressive. Like what? Wait,
Oh
who?
yeah, that okay, yeah. The comment about
Like who?
impressive was me.
I'm like, yeah, you were like impressive, and I'm like, who was impressive? Because well, yeah, no comment on the rest of it.
I feel like that's a really bad decision.
Yeah, I do too.
Just in my honest opinion.
I mean, I think it's a bad decision too because, like, he's been doing pretty good lately, running up like what in like the top 10, kind of.
He did really well at Chicago.
Yeah,
I think over this season and like as colleague starts to get better, um, like Justin's starting to grow with colleague,
yeah, which
and
is surprising that he's gonna leave college.
yeah, I just don't see that as a
I don't see it as a good move.
yeah.
Yeah.
I saw people say that it's basically like career suicide because Rick Ware Racing has notoriously been for probably the past like 3 seasons of the bottom 3 running teams. Like literally, Rick Ware Racing had a warning that if they didn't get more points, that they would lose one of their charters. Like,
Hmm.
so that's why I'm like, you sure about that?
Yikers!
Yeah.
I know Rick Ware Racing is like affiliated or something like that with RFK.
Yes. So, Rick Ware Racing is ran out of the same shop. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, if you've ever been to RFK, and you go into the gift shop, if you look straight across the way, there's a sign on the door that says Rick Ware Racing. There are race shops in there, or like it's I don't know if it's just a part of their team. Like I don't know if they have a separate building, like somewhere else or whatever. But there is a clear spot for Rick Ware in the RFK. Um, what is that? Compound, I guess. I don't know what else to call it.
That works.
But all right.
Moving along to the next topic.
Yes.
Bank is going to be in that 31 car after just handed.
Oh. Daniel Hemrick. That's my guess. If colleague wants to stay within their own drivers, I feel like Daniel Hemrick is a good chance. Like he's
Then,
an
but then that opens the 11 car for Xfinity.
yes it does. So hold on, let me continue why I think Daniel Hemrick. Okay, so Daniel Hemrick, he's an Xfinity Series champion, even though I did not like how he won his Xfinity Series championship by knocking Austin Cindric out of the way when Austin was about to win his second championship. Anyway, um, he, like, Daniel Hemrick's been in the sport for quite a while. Like, you can find, like, really old pictures of Daniel. It's kind of funny. Um, but I feel like Daniel Hemrick's a talented driver, and if they wanted to pull from their own pool of drivers, obviously I don't think it would be a good choice to pull Chandler, even though um even though he does have one Xfinity Series win, he's in his rookie year. It's just not. It's too soon to pull him up like that. Like I don't want. Oh, you're probably not gonna like me for comparing to this. I don't want to have a Harrison situation where everybody feels like he got moved up to the Cup Series way too fast. So, like I said, if they want to stay within colleague, Daniel Hemrick, I feel like would be a good choice. Now, who to fill the 11 car? I have no idea. I mean, they already run the 10 car with like random drivers filling in. Um, so
They could do it to the 11 car too.
either that or they just drop the 10 and use the 11 for the so only have like one full-time car, which would be cost effective. That means they wouldn't have to run 3 cars, whereas you only have one full time, and then the 11 car would be part time. But looking at Matt Collick, he probably has like way too much money to, to really even care about cost, considering he wanted Kyle Busch. Um, so who knows? Who knows?
See, there was a video I sent in the group chat that Colleague Racing posted where Chris Rice and Daniel Hamrick congratulated Austin Hill after he won Poccono.
That's true.
And everybody in the comments is like, is this a hint that Austin Hill might go to the 31 car?
I I'm pretty sure Austin Hill's older, but in his case, it doesn't really relate to his experience because he was a rookie last year, right? So, like I said, I think honestly now it seems like the average time in Xfinity is like 2 years, which for younger drivers, I feel like it should be more than that, just so they can get that experience, so they're not immediately moved up to the Cup Series, where like you have seasoned drivers who, like Martin Truex, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, who have been in this sport for 10 plus years, and so you don't want to have this like rookie coming out here, like here, here, like how Ty Gibbs was racing whenever he was filling in for Kurt Busch last year. You could see all of his mistakes, like where he tried to take out Ty Dillon on pit road. Like that's a child move, okay? Like, so I just don't want to have that type of situation. Like I don't know much about Austin Hill's career before Xfinity, but he's only been in Xfinity this for now his second season. Um, so and also I believe he is a little older, so he's not like I don't I think he's I think he's like 27 or something. I don't know.
So, yeah.
What I'm saying is he's not a 20-year-old kid who doesn't have that maturity to take on the Cup Series. Was it Colleague that posted it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Posting it. Yeah.
If it's specifically Colleague that posted it, maybe they are throwing hints.
I mean, they would be the team that would try and throw everybody off, though.
True. Also,
Yeah.
the Colleague social media guys, like whoever runs it, is like all over the place. Like not necessarily like unorganized, but they're funny, and they compete in the meme wars with RFK and Front Row.
Oh, I see them all the time. Like, if accidents happen and any of their drivers are like in it, I'm like, okay, wow.
It's like a sentence to explain Colleague, probably more specifically Twitter, like is they're always in a silly goofy mood. But we'll see. We'll see if we're correct.
If we're correct.
But on to the Tricky Triangle. We had 3 races this past weekend. You guys both watched the truck race. Nick Sanchez got pole. There was a very big wreck that happened during the race. I wasn't watching the truck race, but I did hear, I believe it was it Parker Kligerman that was talking to Carson Hocevar, and Carson basically took like all the blame of that wreck. I just remember you in the group chat yelling, "No, Tanner!"
I remember from the wreck with Carson, they were coming out of, I think it was the first turn or something. Carson was coming up, and I guess he didn't know that he was clear or something, and he like cut up, and like he just cut up on everybody and just made a big wreck happen.
That's true. Because I know Zane was in it.
I did see Zane's post about finishing like really low. He had the red faced like mad emoji with like the symbols across. Yep, he was not
And
happy.
my boss, she was mad too, because she even posted about it. Like, she was mad about it too, so, yeah.
I
Because he
think
finished like 38.
yeah, it was no probably maybe not 38th. It might have been 28th.
Maybe. It was something with an 8 at the end.
But yeah, I did hear about her bestie. I think I I know Carson has gotten better about like trying not to like he's he's gotten a lot more mature after Junior came and talked to him and was like, "All right, we're not going to put you in this Xfinity car until you clean up you wrecking everybody in trucks." And he hasn't like he's been pretty good about it.
He
Um
stayed he stayed away from people for the most part.
yeah. So he was doing pretty well on that front. So obviously I don't believe this was intentional. Like it's very possible that he just didn't know he was clear. I mean, it could also be like the spotter couldn't tell. Like
Yeah.
it's like but I I commend him for coming out and saying like, yeah, that was 100% my fault. Like I take full blame for that. Like I'm the one that screwed everything up, okay? But um so whenever that happened, Kyle Busch won the truck race.
Classic move right there.
Was he driving his own truck?
Yes.
50 yeah.
Yes, he was.
Sounds about right, to be honest. Um and then in Xfinity, Josh Berry got the pole.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Junior's organization getting a pole like kind of yeah, okay. They didn't win, but they still put up a really good fight. Like not just Josh, like for a while Justin was doing really well, Sam was doing really well. I want to say Brandon was doing well, but I genuinely can't remember. I love
Brandon was struggling.
it's like
He wasn't quite up there with his teammates.
He was doing pretty decent.
Yeah, he didn't do like awful, but he definitely wasn't hanging out with his teammates a lot.
Yeah.
It was more that.
it's like I love Brandon. He's such a cool guy. He's so funny, so nice. And I've talked to him about his like switch over um, from Joe Gibbs to Junior, and he told me that uh, that it was a lot harder than he was expecting. Which I guess that also plays into he was going from Toyota to Chevrolet, so I mean that could also play a part in it. But he didn't really specify on um, like what the differences were, but you could tell he definitely felt this like he was still trying to get into the groove of being at juniors and not being over there anymore because he's as far as I know he's got a totally different crew. I'm pretty sure his crew chief stayed over at Joe Gibbs, so like he has all new people. He's doing better, which I'm really glad about. There wasn't really any big wrecks in the Xfinity race, was there? I don't think so.
Maybe
Not
a couple small ones.
Yeah, so like not one like the truck that took out like half the field.
We love when Rex take out like half the field.
Yeah,
That's the favorite because then you got like literally like 5 cars and you're like, all right, who's gonna get the win after
it's
that?
like
It's only
it's
5 of you competing though.
yeah, it's like the 2022 Daytona race where
Always.
the Coke Zero sugar where like the little drops of rain took out 20 in the field, and then by the time the race started back, both Kevin Harvick's car was still on track, was still on pit road, um, and Kevin Harvick was already home by the time the race started. But yeah, that was funny. Yeah,
That
when
that that one was pretty funny though, but also it was pretty terrible because literally all the favorites that people picked were gone. They were like already at
mine
home.
wasn't. Mine
Okay,
wasn't.
well, yeah.
Mine was leading that race, and then hold on, we'll go back to that because that's gonna lead into another point that happened during the Cup race. So, first, Austin Hill wins the Xfinity race. Um, he it wasn't. I don't think it was a last lap move, but it was right there, like close to the end.
A lot of drivers on fuel saving mode during that race.
Yeah, they
Yes, they were trying to make it to the end.
I did see an interview with Riley. Said if that caution would have came out like after or before Brandon pitted, it would have been him and Sam fighting for that win.
That would have been great. We need to see both of them win. Like we're fans of both. We're fans of both Sam Mayer and Riley Herbst. So we would love to see both of them get their. I think both of them would get their first Xfinity win
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
because both.
Sam has been so close every single time, and
Mhm.
then somehow he gets screwed over every time. Same with Riley. He gets close, then he gets screwed over because he gets involved in a wreck.
Yeah.
But out of both of them, I think Sam's been closer because Sam's been up, like, I don't know. They've both been really close multiple times.
And I also seen in an interview that Riley said he should have won Atlanta. He had the faster car. He said he should have won Atlanta.
The Cup race. William Byron got pole, which at this point, that's not surprising. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly.
And then I'm just gonna close out. Denny Hamlin won, and then we're gonna talk about all the stuff that happened in the middle of it.
Probably.
Okay, so Austin Dillon. We'll go back to my point earlier. So at the Daytona race last year, Austin Cindric was about to win that race, and then Austin Dillon knocked him out of the way and took the lead and threw Austin off his line onto the apron. Austin Cindric saved it, but he lost out on the win. And speaking of Austin Dillon, at Poccono, they were, he was rounding turn 1 and came down on Tyler Reddick.
Mm-hmm.
And, Austin Dillon, was not very happy about that. Thought that, Tyler Reddick was in the wrong and went out to the edge of the track and threw his helmet at Tyler Reddick's car while it was driving by.
And he missed it very badly, too. He didn't even hit his car.
Yes. So he did a Tony Stewart move and missed. And so he showed his displeasure that he thought that Tyler Reddick wrecked him. But if you look back at the footage, Tyler Reddick stayed online he stayed the same length away from that yellow line as he rounded the corner. It was Austin Dillon who tried to dive down in the corner, and if he did, I guess he didn't see Tyler Reddick or what. But yeah, Austin Dillon wrecked and came down on Tyler Reddick. That was what, maybe halfway through the race?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
It's
was
like,
halfway.
yeah, like the first stage, basically nothing. Like almost a snooze fest. Okay? And then that happens.
Honestly.
So that was
After
our
they couldn't even get into turn 1.
yeah.
It was a turn 1 who at that point because no one knew what turn 1 was. It
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, it's like, it's what they say, cautions breed cautions. Yeah, that's what happened. We ended up having like 4 others after that. Um, but, um, so, the end of the race, it was between Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson. And, they were coming out of, I want to say out of turn 2. I think. I think they were coming out of the tunnel turn, and Denny Hamlin came up on Kyle Larson, like kind of shoved him a little bit. They touched a little bit. They made contact.
It's like what he did to Josh Chastain.
Yeah, yeah, and Kyle Larson went into the wall. Everybody was not happy about that. That was the last restart before the end of it, I think.
There was
that was the last
or one more
restart before the next restart that was about to happen.
Yes. So then they had to do a green white checkered. And during the green white checkered,
Justin Haley.
Do what?
Because there was a caution for Justin Haley.
Oh, he spun. Yes. There's like so much that happened. So
okay, I knew absolutely who nobody was because they all had freaking different cars this week that I didn't know who was what car. I'm like, who are you? Because I have no idea who you are. They all had different cars. They didn't know who the heck anybody was.
There were so many green paint schemes.
Oh, for real?
But so on the final for the green white checkered, Denny Hamlin was in the lead. Ryan Preece spun, and he could not get the car restarted. They were on 2 to go, and they let Denny Hamlin get all the way around to take the white flag and then threw the caution.
Mm-hmm.
There was an entire uprising about that. My opinion on it is, you saw a car spinning, you should have threw the flag. Period.
Yeah.
Like, I think NASCAR really made a mistake on that.
They did, because everybody's mad because they saw him spinning and they should have threw the caution. But they didn't throw the caution because they just handed Denny Hamlin that win, honestly.
Basically. Like, I get it. Like, Ryan Preece ended up, like, off the side of the track, and, like, he didn't hit anything, so they were trying to give him time to get going before they actually threw it, but he was sitting there, stationary, and they had finally threw the caution right before the cars were about to come by at full speed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If he was sitting there, I would say more than 10 seconds, which I'm pretty sure he was, you need to throw the caution.
Yeah.
Like, then after after the race, um, Denny Denny got booed, obviously.
He was
Um,
getting booed before they even threw the caution. He was getting booed because they didn't throw the caution.
yeah.
You could
So
hear it.
yeah, not very many people were happy with Denny. Um, and then
Somebody
he,
threw a water bottle at his car.
yes, that did happen. I did see that. He refused to walk up to the flag stand to get the checkered flag that they give out for the wins because he would have been
What?
too close to the
Wonder
people.
why. Wonder why.
And then on pit road, they were interviewing drivers after the checkered flag, and they interviewed Tyler Reddick, a driver who drives for Denny Hamlin. And Tyler Reddick was even questioning NASCAR why they waited to throw the caution. Like, I have a quote. Tyler Reddick straight up said on live television, I don't know what that shit's about. About them not throwing the caution when they should have.
I seen an interview with Martin Truex, and he called Denny Hamlin's move dirty.
Oh, and Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
So, during Kyle Larson's interview,
He was mad.
yes, we, after what Kyle Larson has, like, he's basically rebuilt himself after what happened whenever he was let go with Chip Ganassi. And so he's become this other person to like watch what he says, to like just try to be better in like the view of the public. And um and you could tell like him and Bubba Wallace got into that fight at, I want to say, Vegas, about because Bubba Wallace so okay, basically, I don't know what track it was, but let me recap. um Kyle Larson moved up, and as far as I know, he didn't touch Bubba Wallace, but Bubba Wallace went into the wall, and then immediately right hooked Kyle Larson into the wall. And Kyle Larson got out of the car. Bubba Wallace was livid. Like threw his helmet down, came over, shoved Kyle Larson, and like was trying to like full on pick a fight with Kyle Larson. And Kyle Larson like backed off and like was like, "Nah, man, like I'm not doing this." And I felt like in that instance he showed himself as why he's a champion. Like he kept his composure so well after Kyle Larson was the one that ended up on the wall, like, and got the worst of it, you know? Like, Bubba Wallace could have continued that race.
Bubba could have been fine, but he was so mad that he right hooked him and took himself out also.
Exactly. So Bubba Wallace could have continued if that didn't happen.
Exactly.
But it showed Kyle Larson having so much composure, and I commend Kyle Larson for his interview on Sunday, because you could tell he was upset, but like he wasn't overly upset. Like I feel like he was like the right amount of like, not necessarily like, he did throw a bunch of like jabs at Denny. He was like, "Oh yeah, Denny's always right." Like, which I can see Denny having a personality like that. But other than that, he didn't talk bad about Denny. He was like separating on track and off track with Denny.
Yeah.
And I think that mentality takes a lot. Like to be able to leave all of that out on the track, like that takes some strength because if I'm hot-headed, okay? So, if something like that happened, I would not be able to just leave it sitting there. Like I I still like think of things that happened like 3 weeks ago and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm like I'm gonna throw some hands at somebody, okay?"
Yeah.
But Kyle Larson, like he's like, "Yep, I'm gonna go dirt track racing in a few days. I'm gonna forget all of this that happened, and we're just gonna move on to next week." So, very, very champion mentality. IndyCar. They had a doubleheader in Iowa,
Mhm.
um, and
No,
but
one of the Penske cars got pole for the first one, not for the second one. My lord.
but Joseph Newgarden swept the weekend
Mhm.
and won both Iowa IndyCar races. Did you guys hear what he said in his post race interview?
Uh,
No.
So he's won quite a few times at Iowa, and he said in his post race interview that he's gonna have to go and buy a cornfield now. And then, um, on top of him, on top of him winning Iowa, I believe this is the seventh time that he has won an oval, and they're all in a row. So he made history by doing that, and he's the third driver in history to do that, to win 7 oval races in a row. So,
Props to him.
mm,
That's pretty killer.
so Joseph Newgarden, the Oval King.
The Oval King.
Either way, Penske is dominating.
It's
it's like
dominating.
it's like I'm a fan of Era McLaren too, partially because I like McLaren on the Formula One side, but also I'm a fan of Pato O'Ward. So I follow Era McLaren because of him.
I have
Um,
now seen him on my TikTok page, edits of him, and I'm like,
yes,
the
we
world.
we love we
I'm
love
like, what
Pato.
in the world?
That was the IndyCar recap. On to Formula One. We got some news last week that Molly found. Nicholas Latifi, Goat Tifi, is officially leaving Formula and moving on. I do wish him the best, in wherever and
He's
whatever he does.
he's going to train in the business world at the London Business School.
There you go. Well,
That's where he's going.
I wish him luck on his studies. So, some other little side news before we get into the Hungarian Grand Prix. Um, Kimi Antonelli, which is somebody I follow, he races in Formula 4, and he won the Formula 4 race at Paul Ricard this past weekend. Very proud of him. So he's part of Prima, and I believe he is in the Mercedes Driver Academy, in Formula 4. And then I didn't see who won the Formula 3 race, but Jack Doohan got a pole and won this past weekend in Formula 2. Formula 1. So, first session, of the weekend, less than 5 minutes in, Sergio Perez wrecks and ends his day. Now, if you guys know, or if you guys have watched, you guys probably know that I am a very big Max Verstappen fan. Okay? I honestly, at this point, I'd probably die for that man, okay? But I'm a really big Max Verstappen fan. And I would say I'm somewhat of a Red Bull fan, just because they have Daniel Ricciardo as the third and reserve driver. But on track, I am not a Checo fan. On track, I do not like Sergio Perez. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? Checo, off track, whenever he doesn't have that helmet on, like all of the content that they make, he's so funny, right? So there was one time that somebody asked him to choose between golf and tequila, and he said that he'd rather die, okay? So he's funny, okay? Yeah, he's funny. So I like him off track, but whenever he gets in that race car, not a fan. Just because I'm a Max Verstappen fan through and through, okay? But he wrecked less than 5 minutes in to FP1. So we were a little scared because with him doing that, that put a little damper on his situation over at Red Bull. But he backed it up. He got third in Budapest. Which, like I said, I'm not a fan of him on track. I wish Lewis Hamilton would have gotten back up there. Which, at that last lap, Lewis was catching him. Anyway. Also in practice, Oscar Piastri, I don't know how it happened, but Oscar broke his floor of the car. So they had to replace the floor of the car. I just don't know if he took too much curb or what, because as far as I know, he didn't go off track in practice. But yeah, he did break the floor. That was confirmed.
Interesting.
So in Budapest, they started a new qualifying format that they are testing out, where you have to use hard tires in Q1, medium tires in Q2, and soft tires in Q3. Which, that's really gonna change everything up for strategy. So now you won't have a bottom tier car go out there last minute on soft tires and beat everyone out, you know? So that's really gonna take the level of car performance to a new level, as well as the reason they decided to do this is to limit the sets of tires that get taken each race. So normally they have 13 sets of tires each, 13 sets per car, I believe. And so if this gets implemented, it would bring it down to 11 sets per car, which the reason they're doing this is solely based on the transportation of tires. So meaning there'd be 100 plus tires that they wouldn't have to transport to races, throughout the season. Or actually, probably even more than that. Um, I don't know the math, okay? I went to art school. I didn't do math. But either way, that's that's why they decided to do this specific format and see how it all worked out. Um, which I am kind of sad that it takes away the strategic aspect of qualifying. So, because you already know what cars are good, like, so it's kind of gonna throw a little bit off. Like you're gonna see a lot more um of probably, I don't know, the Williams is starting to get better, but I still feel they're one of the lower ones. So you'll probably only see like 5 different teams in the top 5, or in the top 10, sorry, which is actually exactly how it went in qualifying. Like the top 10 each had their teammate. So there was only 5 teams, and both drivers on those 5 teams got into the top 10. So you can clearly tell who the top 5 teams are. Either that or who the better drivers are on the different teams. But I feel like a lot of it is based on the faster car. Um, and in qualifying, even though he didn't get into Q3, Daniel Ricciardo still out qualified Yuki Tsunoda on his first time back. He qualified 13th, and I believe he finished 13th, which, out of the points, yeah, okay, I get it. Um, they brought Daniel Ricciardo back in hopes of them scoring points, but you got to think, this is Daniel's first race back, and it's the Hungaroring. Like, this is not a very good track to start back after being gone for like 10 months. But I feel like he's in the right direction. Like the first time AlphaTauri got out of Q1 was with, I think it was in the past like 5, 7 races. I don't know, I can't remember exactly, but they, like, Daniel Ricciardo was the one to get them out of Q1. He's got at least that little bit of momentum. And then seeing him get out of the car, like in his post race interviews, he he was still so excited. Like normally, someone who finishes a race in P13, like you see them get out of the car and they're like so drained and they're like annoyed that, oh my gosh, I missed out on points. Like Daniel Ricciardo was still energetic. He was still so hype and smiling, biggest smile on his face. Like just a lot. Just very very proud of Daniel and what he was able to accomplish, even after getting involved in in a wreck in the first lap. Zhou Guanyu went into the back of Daniel Ricciardo, who went into the back of Pierre Gasly. I think it was Pierre. And then Esteban Ocon went up over Pierre Gasly. Which actually, Zhou and Daniel had an issue at one of the, I think it was the Saturday sessions, where Zhou was just stopped on the pit out lane, and Daniel was coming up so fast, like because he stepped on the gas as soon as he went to go leave the pit lane, and he thought Zhou was going to, so Daniel had to like swerve around Zhou to avoid hitting him. And then Zhou comes over the radio and was like, "That AlphaTauri was about to hit me." Yeah, because you're stopped in an open lane on the middle of the track. Like, what do you? Sorry, I was a little heated about that one. Um.
Oh.
But okay, so the race. Lewis Hamilton outqualified Max, and this was, I believe, Lewis's first pole since Abu Dhabi 2021. I believe that's what they had said. So Lewis was very emotional about it, and he was very proud of himself. Like, he was proud of the team. Like, you could just see the emotion on his face. Like after, whenever they were doing their interview, and he beat Max out by 0.003 seconds. So 3,000ths of a second was in between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen for pole. Which, that was insane. But it also ruined Max's streak, which is unfortunate. So the race starts. First lap, absolute chaos. Like I said, Joe into Daniel into one of the Alpines, and the other Alpine goes over, right? Both Alpines have to DNF on the first lap. They have to retire from the race. And this is the second race in a row that both cars have DNF'd.
Yikes.
So, not too good over there in the Alpine camp. I feel like this is kind of an obvious one. Max Verstappen wins the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Oh, shocker there. No,
And it was 12 consecutive wins. It breaks the record, or 12 consecutive wins for Red Bull, which breaks a record. And Lando gets a consecutive pole. He finishes second, the first consecutive pole in his career.
New podium.
Yes. Oh my gosh, what is that? Yes, bro, I wanted him to get pole. Consecutive podium in his career. And this was also the first time in 10 years that McLaren has gotten consecutive podiums. The last time was, I believe, it was either 2012 or 2013. I can't remember exactly when. But it was Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button back to back. Max won, and he won by 33.73 seconds. That hasn't, I think they said that hasn't happened in like 3 years or something. Like that large of a margin. Red Bull dominance again. Which honestly isn't surprising. Went on the podium. Lando did his signature champagne pop. And he's notoriously known for knocking over Max's trophies.
Yeah.
And he did that again in Hungary. He knocked over Max's first place trophy, and it broke into 3 pieces.
Yeah.
Like, shattered.
And then he tried to blame it on Max because he had it too close to the edge.
And it's like, we love Lando's champagne celebration. Like, I feel like it's one of the best that has been seen in recent years. So we'd love to see it.
But he needs to be careful.
Yeah, because this is at least the third trophy that he's knocked over of Max's. Because when Lando got his Monaco podium, he did the same thing. And Max's trophy fell off the podium. And they did mention in I think it was a couch video. Maybe not, I don't know, but Max was talking about how his Monaco trophy was loose because it fell off the podium.
Lando.
So
yeah, everybody giving Lando hate for breaking Max.
Yeah, everybody's hating on him. But since then, Lando has apologized to Red Bull, and he also apologized to the guy that hand painted it, and they're making Max a brand new trophy.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And like Max and Lando are good friends. They were laughing and joking about it. So, and obviously Max knows that Lando wouldn't do that on purpose. Like, even though Lando did make a joke in the post-race interview that, oh, well, if I can't have it, nobody can.
Yeah.
But yeah. Rip Max's trophy. So in Hungary, they did a Sky Sports Juniors broadcast where they had like young teenagers doing the broadcast. And during their post-race interview with Max, Max and Lando are standing right next to each other because Lando is on interview with actual Sky Sports, and then Max is doing the interview for the Sky Sports Juniors. And so they're sitting there, and Max is like yelling at Lando, was like, she told me that you tried to say it was my fault. And then Lando was like, yeah, no, she said that. Don't blame me. Like, she said that she blamed you. It wasn't my fault. It was too close to the edge, okay? But yeah, they were joking about it. So I don't believe there's any hard feelings behind it. But in Lando's interview with Sky Sports, post-race interview, Checo walks up to the Sky Sports Junior interview right next to him, and during Lando's interview, he overhears them say, "Oh, congratulations, Checo, you got driver of the day." And Lando literally like has this huge confused look on his face, and he goes, "He got driver of the day? What the?" Like, on interview. Like, now it's gonna be all over the internet. But Lando did come in second for driver of the day. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying that they need to stop voting Checo for driver of the day because he doesn't qualify where the car should be at. Because the only reason he really gets driver of the day is because he has to overtake all the cars to get back up there where he should have qualified the car in the first place.
Ooh.
So, I mean, to be fair, Checo did start in 9th, so he did get into Q3. But yeah, I just thought that part was kind of funny.
I saw you and I was laughing during it. It was kind of funny. Lando just stops and then he's just sitting there and he's just listening.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
See, I love watching so the way it works on ESPN, since we're in the US, you have to, the actual ESPN broadcast, it stops almost immediately after the podium celebration. So you have to get on to ESPN Plus to watch like everything after the podium celebration. And so that's what I do because I'll sit there for like another hour and a half, like, because I want to see all the interviews and like all the post race stuff. And um, it's just so funny to watch their post race interviews because like some of them, in Lando's case, they'll be really funny. Like a lot of his interviews that he does um, are either funny or they're sarcastic. Like if you've if you're on Formula One TikTok, you've probably you've probably seen the clip that people use in Lando Norris edits that he goes, um, the interview goes, oh, P9. And then Lando goes, yeah, great race. And then the interviewer's like, great race. And Lando goes, that was sarcastic. Like, he has an attitude. So.
Okay, but sarcastic and sassy Lando is my favorite Lando because it's freaking hilarious.
I agree.
That's my favorite. Yeah. It's so funny.
But on to next week. We have full weekends, or a full weekend of racing. We don't have IndyCar, but we do have NASCAR and Formula One. NASCAR is going to Richmond.
And Road America.
Yes. Yes. It's Xfinity that's going to Road America, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And then Cup's going to Richmond. Which I never understood why they split them up like that. Like, that makes no sense. But, I mean, I guess if you want to, like, spread out the area reached by NASCAR, so, I mean, I guess it would make sense for you to put one series racing at one place to get all of those people in that area, and then another series in a different area to get all of them. But I just never understood that.
And Richmond is the last race for the trucks before the playoff starts for them.
Ooh, yeah, they have quite a bit of a break, right?
It'll be Richmond, and then for the last race, and then their first race back will be August 11th.
Oh, okay, so yeah, only a week off. Or as of right now, it's like a week and a half, but yep. So we have those. Richmond. I think it's like technically like a short track, is what people would call it.
Short track.
Yeah. So there's a lot of drivers that I don't know how I feel about how they're gonna race, how they're gonna do at this track. But there's also a lot of them that I feel like will thrive at this track. So who knows? It's gonna be.
Also, Denny Hamlin's home track, so I wonder how many boosts he's gonna get for that one.
Ooh. Yep, we'll see.
It's his home track, so at this point, I don't think Denny Hamlin really has any fans left. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah,
Or if he does, it's very few.
I don't know if y'all seen Denny Hamlin posted on Instagram of the fans from Poccono giving him the middle finger. He posted that on his Instagram.
Oh, bro, I gave him the middle finger at my TV, so.
Yeah, I saw like the three. I think it's 3 pictures that he posted.
I think so.
But yeah, where he zoomed in on the guys that were flipping him off. Yeah.
Thank you, fans, or something like that.
Oh yeah, he's trying so hard to embrace like all the people hating him, but I feel like that's just gonna backfire at some point.
He's honestly trying to be how Kyle Busch was, because Kyle Busch used to get booze, and now Kyle Busch doesn't get booze anymore.
Yeah,
It's
because
Bubba and Denny.
yeah, because
It's Denny and Bubba who get the booze.
like Kyle Busch has completely turned around his attitude, but because there's nobody to fill that space anymore.
Guess who has to be the crybaby of NASCAR now? Denny Hamlin and Bubba Wallace. Mostly Denny Hamlin. Because now there's no crybaby on the Joe Gibbs team. Because it was Kyle Busch. Now it's Denny Hamlin.
But like we said, no IndyCar, so they get an off week. We get to sleep a little more. Only a little, because Formula One is racing at Spa. Spa-Francorchamps. There we go. Which is Belgium. The Belgian Grand Prix. Spa is a very famous track. A lot of different race series drive on it. IMSA, I know, is a really big one. It's also... We've actually talked about Spa before with Delano a couple episodes ago. It's the same track. And they are going back racing. I genuinely hope that it doesn't rain. Just for the fact, like, it makes me so anxious after what happened a couple weeks ago. Even though these are, like, some of the best drivers in the world, like, it still puts me on edge. But it is the first time that I've seen a race at Spa, or a Formula race at Spa. So I'm actually pretty excited, because Spa is one of my favorite tracks. Which, I'm pretty sure that's the one in our logo. That's the one I put on there, right? I put Monaco and Spa. So,
yeah, you did.
Yeah, everybody says that the outline of Spa looks like a glue gun.
But I can see that now. I can see that now.
Yep, they're going to Spa. We'll see if Max can continue his win streak. He is now over 100 points clear of Checo and the championship. Meaning, if he comes second in every single race from here on out, he could win the championship. He doesn't have to win another race. And then also, if he continues winning, I believe they said the earliest he can secure the championship is Singapore. So, but after Spa, it's a whole month until our next Formula race. So, we might, depending, I think a lot of the drivers are going to be obviously on summer break, so we'll probably fill you in on their whereabouts if they ever post on Instagram and Twitter and stuff. But other than that, you obviously won't get any racing content of a Formula One. We're back at it again next week for
back at it again next week.
Yeah. This has been
episode 5
of the Trackside Girls podcast.
Yeah.
But
our outros are so bad every time.
It's fine. Hopefully somebody finds some amusement out of it.
Honestly, facts though.
Alright, peace out, guys. Thanks for watching, listening, however you are enjoying this content.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Peace.